brainstem. Right now, without asking your permission, it is counting your breaths and pacing your heart, and it has not paused once since before you were born. This narrow stalk, where the brain meets the spine, is the oldest part of you, a design roughly 500 million years old that you share with fish and lizards. It runs breathing, heartbeat, blood pressure, swallowing, the reflex that makes you cough. Buried inside it is a switch that turns consciousness on in the morning and off at night. This is why the brainstem, not the heart, is where doctors look to declare that a life has ended. You will never feel it working, and that is the whole point. The first member of the crew keeps the entire show running, and you will never once meet it. Cerebellum. Tucked under the back of the brain like a second smaller brain, this tight wrinkled knot weighs barely a tenth of the whole organ, yet it holds around 80% of all your neurons, roughly 69 billion of them packed into that one fist. Its job is smoothness. It takes the clumsy command to reach for a cup and shapes it into one fluid motion, correcting the path 100 times a second before you notice any error. When it is damaged, you can still move, but every reach overshoots and every step wanders, the hand sailing past the target it was aiming for. It is the reason walking across a room feels like nothing at all. A second silent pilot, still flying without you. Thalamus. Sitting dead center, this egg-shaped hub is the brain's switchboard, and almost nothing reaches your awareness without passing through it first. Sight, sound, touch, taste all arrive here and get routed to the exact patch of cortex that can make sense of them. Only one sense is allowed to skip the line entirely: smell, which is why a scent can hit you faster and more emotionally than a sound. The thalamus also helps decide what rises into consciousness at all and what stays background noise. Damage it badly, and a person can slip into a coma. Nothing you see or hear becomes yours until this gatekeeper waves it through. Hypothalamus, barely the size of an almond and weighing about 4 grams, it quietly runs the housekeeping that keeps a body alive. Temperature, hunger, thirst, the daily sleep clock, the sudden surge of fight or flight, all of it is set here. It does this by commanding the pituitary, the master gland just below it, translating a thought or a threat straight into hormones that flood the bloodstream. This is why fear makes your heart slam, and why a fever will deliberately cook you to kill a virus. A pea-sized manager sets the thermostat for your entire body, and you never once touch the dial. Amygdala. 2 almond-shaped clusters buried deep in the temporal lobes. This is the brain's alarm, and its defining trick is speed. It spots a threat and fires before the thinking part of you has any idea what is happening, which is why you flinch away from a curved stick a full second before you realize it was never a snake. We know what it feels like to live without one. A woman known in the research as SM, whose amygdalae were destroyed by a rare disease, felt almost no fear at all, holding snakes, laughing through horror films, staying calm even when a stranger once held a knife to her throat. Fear, it turns out, is not a feeling you choose. It is a switch thrown before you arrive. But the part that will remember this moment for the rest of your life sits right beside it. Hippocampus. curved like a seahorse, which is exactly what its Greek name means. This is the workshop where a passing moment gets written into a lasting memory. In 1953, a man named Henry Molaison had both of his removed to stop violent seizures. The seizures stopped, but so did his ability to keep any new memory. And for the next 55 years, he greeted his own doctors as strangers every single day, trapped in a present only a few minutes long. This same seahorse also draws your map of physical space. London taxi drivers, who must memorize every street in the city, grow hippocampi visibly larger than the rest of us. Without it, the present never hardens into a past. This is the piece where a life starts to add up. Basal Ganglia, a cluster of deep hubs wrapped around the thalamus. This is where your actions harden into habits. Anything you repeat enough, typing, driving, tapping in a passcode, gets filed here as an automatic routine, so the rest of the brain can stop paying attention and think about something else. It is the reason you can arrive home with no memory of the drive. Your habits took the wheel while you were somewhere else entirely. When the dopamine that feeds this system dries up, movement itself begins to freeze and stutter, and that condition has a familiar name: Parkinson's disease. The part meant to free your attention can, when it breaks, take your movement with it. Occipital lobe. Here is something strange. The part that lets you see sits at the very back of your skull, about as far from your eyes as it could possibly be. Signals race the entire length of the brain to be rebuilt here into edges, color, depth, and motion, and it does not record the world like a camera. It reconstructs it, assembling each of those features separately. We know this because of a rare patient, known as LM, who lost only her sense of motion. She could see a cup perfectly well, but not the water filling it, watching the level jump from empty to full, as if the world moved in freeze frames. You do not see with your eyes, you see with the back of your head. Temporal lobe. Running along the side of the brain just above your ear, this lobe turns vibrating air into sound, and then sound into meaning. Tucked inside it is a region where words become understanding, and when that region is damaged, a person can still speak in fluent, flowing sentences that carry no meaning at all. A fluent nonsense they cannot even hear is wrong. A small patch on its underside does nothing but recognize faces. Lose it, and you can still see every feature of your own mother's face in perfect detail, yet have no idea whose face it is. This is where noise becomes a voice, and a pattern of features becomes a person you love. Parietal lobe. Sitting up top toward the back, this lobe answers a question you never consciously ask: where am I, and where does my body end? It holds a complete touch map of your skin and stitches your senses into a single space you feel yourself standing inside. When the right side of it is injured, the results are eerie. Patients will shave only the right half of the face, eat only the right half of the plate, and flatly deny that the left side of the world exists at all, because the machinery that built left is simply gone. It is the quiet cartographer that draws the space you live in and places you at the center of it. Corpus Callosum. This thick cable of about 200 million nerve fibers is the bridge between your left and right halves, carrying a constant stream of traffic across the gap. For a sense of how much it does, look at what happens when it is cut, an operation surgeons once used to stop severe epilepsy. The two halves keep working, but now separately, and patients have reported one hand buttoning a shirt while the other hand follows behind unbuttoning it, each side pursuing a plan the other knows nothing about. Roger Sperry won a Nobel Prize in 1981 for revealing these two half-minds sharing one skull. This single band is the reason your two brains feel seamlessly like one. Frontal lobe, the largest lobe of all, filling the whole space behind your forehead, is the part that plans, weighs, waits, and imagines a future, the closest thing in your head to the person you think you are. Its front tip, the prefrontal cortex, is the hand on the brake, the quiet voice that overrules the fear alarm and says, "Not yet." In 1848, a railway worker named Phineas Gage took an iron rod clean through this region and, astonishingly, lived, but the steady, well-liked man his friends had known was gone, replaced by someone reckless and profane. He is no longer Gage, they said. And here is the strangest fact of all. This most human region is the last to finish building itself, still wiring together into your mid-twenties. So this is the whole crew. A brainstem that breathes you, an alarm that fears for you, habits that drive you home while you daydream, and riding on the very top, one thin, young, unfinished layer that takes all the credit and calls itself you.